Viktor, we're here to put an end to this madness. Surrender yourself and your research at once.
Metal is perfection. Join the glorious evolution.
Viktor, stop this! You can still stop.
Inferior constructs. Their bodies are frail. I am the first of many. All will soon change.
Viktor was not always as heartless as he appears. Much like Echo, he was born a child of Zon to two loving parents, who saw his passion for invention and encouraged him to create. He loved it so much that he hated being interrupted for any reason, having to eat or sleep, or worst of all, having to relocate due to a nearby chemical spill. Having to abandon his work early was the bane of young Viktor's existence. It is what led him to research Zon's many accidents, coming to the conclusion that almost all of them were brought on by human error. He began to offer his services to local businesses, developing inventions that would lead to far safer working environments, most turning him away, till the Fredriksen Chemforge took a chance on the earnest young man. Inside of a month, the number of accidents in the forge had been reduced to 0. It was not long before other establishments sought his work, and his inventions became commonplace in Zon. At the age of 19, he was surprised to be offered a place in Zon's prestigious Academy of Techmetallurgy, but he had also attracted the eye of Professor Stanwyck from Piltover, who convinced the young Viktor to attend Piltover's academy instead. Here, he would have access to the most advanced laboratories and materials that Piltover had to offer. It was here that Viktor became one of the best and brightest prodigies in all of Piltover, even finding a rivalry in the insufferable Jace. During his studies, however, a major chemical spill devastated Zon, and Viktor returned home to offer his aid in the rescue efforts. He set about to build a custom-made golem. He would name his helper Blitzcrank, and Blitzcrank would be instrumental in saving scores of lives, and would even appear to become sentient, beyond anything Viktor had envisioned. Even after the spill had been contained, Viktor remained in Zon to help those afflicted by the toxins. With the help of his golem, he attempted to save those affected by the blight. Their attempt was ultimately unsuccessful, and Viktor and Blitzcrank would part ways. Though distraught at the loss of life, the work taught him a great deal about merging human anatomy with technology. Weeks later, he returned to Piltover to find that Professor Stanwyck had held a symposium on Blitzcrank and presented the work as his own. Viktor lodged a formal complaint with the masters of the college, but his demands fell on deaf ears, so he turned to Jace to help verify his claims, but his rival refused to speak up, widening the rift between the two and leaving the matter decided in Professor Stanwyck's favor. Not allowing it to distract him, Viktor returned to his studies, knowing that his work making people's lives better and enhancing humanity was far too important to give up over one stolen project. As time went on, Viktor began to see human involvement in any part of a process as a grossly inefficient defect, a view that found him at odds with many a fellow student and professor, including Jace. This came to a head during a reluctant collaboration with Jace to improve the diving suits used to keep the Piltover's docks clear of underwater debris and lingering chemical waste. The two developed suits that could dive deeper, remain underwater longer, and lift heavier weights. But the wearers would often panic, claiming to see phantom corpse lights or suffer from chem-induced visions. In the panic, often killing themselves and other divers. So Viktor devised a chem shunt helmet that allowed an operator on the surface to bypass the wearer's fear response and effectively control the diver. A heated discussion between Viktor and Jace on the subject of free will erupted. Jace vowed to never work with Viktor ever again and reported the incident to the college masters. This led to his expulsion from the college for violating basic human dignity. He would retreat to his old laboratory in Zone, disgusted by this turn of events. Viktor sank into a deep depression, wrestling with the ethical dilemma he now faced, finding that once again, human emotion and weakness stood in his way. His revelation came when he realized he had succumbed to those same emotions. He knew he could not expect others to follow where he did not first go, so in secret, he operated on himself to remove those parts of his flesh and psyche that relied upon or were inhibited by emotion. When the surgery was done, almost no trace of the young man who had traveled to Piltover remained. He had supplemented the majority of his anatomy with mechanical augmentations, but his personality had also changed. His idealistic hope to better society was refined into an obsession with what he called the glorious evolution. Viktor now saw himself as the pioneer of Valoran's future, an idealized dream where man would renounce flesh in favor of superior hextech augmentations. This would free humanity from fatal errors and suffering, though Viktor knew it would not be a task easily completed. He threw himself into this great work with a vengeance. His research is sometimes transgressing the boundaries of what would be considered ethical in Piltover or Zone. However, they were all necessary steps to bring about Viktor's glorious evolution.